Back to Haku's dream, I guess. Just as we promised, just as he promised, Renya came to the bus stop every day at the same time. All the other human kids his age went to something called school, but apparently he didn't.
僕は体があんまり強くないからね。だから仕方ないんだ。みんなと一緒に学校に通えないのは。
All I had to do was ask why, for him to smile and immediately begin explaining.
僕は学校には行けない。でもその代わり、朝早くから夜遅くまでばあちゃんにどやされながら個人授業だよ。休めるのは今この時間。
私と一緒。
Oops.
僕は学校には行けない。でもその代わり、朝早くから夜遅くまでばあちゃんにどやされながら個人授業だよ。休めるのは今この時間。お昼だけ。
Yeah, so he went, since he doesn't have a face, right, he went from being a question mark to a male symbol. And then,
私と一緒。
そう？
お揃いだよ。
I cherished this time I spent chatting with Renya, but the two of us, just the two of us. I specifically timed out my breaks during daily training to allow for me to come meet with him at the bus stop every day. Whenever I talked with him, I'd feel this prickling sensation in my chest. Might have been proof of the joy I was feeling. For coming here and spending time with him, I could temporarily forget about all the woes in my daily life and smile. I was so happy. I was having so much fun with him. For long, our daily chats became the thing I looked forward to every day and upon waking up, and then until one day. So perhaps it was no wonder that our relationship soon went beyond that of mere friends.
レンヤはとってもあったかいね。
Whenever his hand held mine, I could feel his warmth flowing into me and melting the ice in my heart. Those cold, dark feelings were now a thing of the past. And when I realized that it was all thanks to Renya, I couldn't help but feel even more wonderful. I'd never known happiness like this before.
僕はね、誰かに話しかけてもらいたかったんだ。
One day, I decided to ask him why he was at the bus stop that day we first met. That was my first question of the day to him. The rain was falling, just as it had that on that day. And just like always, he answered my question with a smile. I was happy. So very happy.
人間の世界ではね、不完全なものは嫌われちゃうんだ。
不完全なもの？
そう。僕は目が見えないよね。
うん。
だからみんな僕のことを避けて見て見ないふりをするんだ。
なんで？
さあ、なんでだろうね。多分めんどくさがられてるんじゃないかな。
めんどくさいってどうして？
それはね、きっと普通じゃないってことは良くないことだからなんだよ。大勢の人たちが満場一致で掲げる正義の中では。
よくない？
I began to ruminate what made something imperfect, made something not normal.
めんどくさいとか普通だとか私にはよくわからない。人間はおかしなことを考えるんだね。
そうだね。おかしいよね。
He smiled in the same way that he always did.
だからね、僕はあそこで誰かに話しかけてもらえるのを待ってたんだよ。
誰かに話しかけられるの？
うん、そうだよ。多分僕は寂しかったんだ。
寂しかった。
Renya nodded.
人通りの多いバス停で待ってたらいつか誰かが話しかけてくれるんじゃないかって。そうなればきっと僕も世界とつながれるってそう思ったんだ。
世界とつながる？
そうして個人と世界がつながる瞬間を感じることがもしもできたなら、そうすれば誰からも不完全だと見て見ないふりして避けられる僕にも、ここにこうして生きているんだっていう存在証明のようなものが得られるような、そんな気がしたんだ。
それがつながるってこと？
そうだね。少なくとも僕にとってはそうだった。僕はとても弱いから、一人では何もできない。だから誰かとこうして不確かでも些細であってもつながることで、関わりを持つことで、そこで初めてようやくこの世に認めてもらえるんじゃないかって、そう思えたんだ。
だからレイヤはあの日このバス停に座ってたの？誰かに話しかけてもらうために。
うん、そうだね。それが誰かに気づいてもらえないと、僕は確かにここにいるってことを認めてもらえないと、僕はとてもじゃないけど生きていけないって、そう思えたから。
With another fat finger. Yeah, that's right.
なんだかよくわからないよ、今日のレイヤが言うことは。
That was a lie. I understood. Those words made perfect sense to me. What Renya felt was loneliness. That single word resonated within my heart. Perhaps he had been alone for longer than I had. So although I wasn't sure that I could fully empathize and relate to his experience on a personal level, when he said that word lonely, I knew exactly what he meant. It resonated with me so easily and so clearly. Yeah. I know how you feel, I quickly replied. The fact that I'd responded to his heartfelt confession with words so flippant disgusted me. I wasn't able to open my heart to him the way he had to me. The answer I'd given him was nothing more than a superficial display of sympathy. When really, I knew what true loneliness was. It was an ever-expanding darkness, an emptiness in the soul, but my answer hadn't reflected that.
今日は簡単じゃないね、レイヤの言うこと。
I brushed past his words, masking my true feelings. It was something necessary for me to do. Otherwise, I'd be consumed by the deep, dark pit of loneliness in my heart. It wasn't a matter of my trust in what Renya was saying, not at all. I knew he was telling the truth. After all, I loved him. The way he managed to smile in spite of his profound loneliness was beautiful to me.
私にはよくわからないよ。
Oh, he replied, seeming initially doubtful, but still continued anyway, smiling all the while.
そうしてある日、誰かとささやかにでも関わりを持つために、いつもと同じように人の行き交う足の途切れたバス停に座ってると、隣でお腹すいたなーって誰かの可愛い声が聞こえた。僕は舞い上がっちゃって焦っちゃって、それは自分に話しかけてくれてるんだって、やっと話しかけてくれる人がいたって早がてんしちゃって、あ、僕はここにいていいんだって、それを許してくれる誰かがやっと僕を迎えに来てくれたんだって、そう思うととっても嬉しくなって。どうやって返事をしようか悩んでたら、またお腹空いたって可愛い声が聞こえてきて、ついつい今食べようと思ってたパンを差し出しちゃったんだよね。正直あの時は僕もお腹空いてたんだけど、でもこんな可愛い声の持ち主に嫌われたくはないからね。だからお腹が空いたのも我慢したんだ。
かわいい言うな。
It was incredibly embarrassing. So I pursed my lips, deciding to get a bit sulky with him.
何度も何度もかわいいかわいいってわざとだよね、それ。
さあどうかな。
それに人じゃなくて悪かったね。
Instead of responding, he simply smiled.
ところで
The abruptness of it made it sound like he'd just remembered something.
何？
今日はばあちゃんがうちにいないんだけど。うちに来ない？
Damn. Look at this Rizzler.
ダメかな。
I got less Rizz than a blind person.
それは。それはそういうこと？
そういうことかな。
His head hung in embarrassment. It wasn't often I saw him acting this way. Realizing that, it struck me as kind of adorable. So I leaned in and gave him a light peck on the lips. Our first kiss. And that was when I realized maybe I was no longer alone in this world. A few months later,
あんた、いつも昼になると姿を見ないが、どこへ行ってるんだい？
one day after morning practice ended, my grandmother suddenly eyed me with suspicion.
昨日も外に買い物に行かしてから嫌に帰りが遅かったけど、何をやってるんだ？
Tried to tell her that I wasn't doing anything else, but she was far from convinced.
人里の近くであんたを見たって、そんな話を聞いたんだが。
He continued to gripe and accused me. But I was restless and nervous that day. Everything she had said went in one ear and out the other. I had to see Renya as soon as I possibly could. There were many, many things I needed to tell him. I placed a hand on my belly and softly stroked it.
人間の匂いがする。
And in her, so, like, quietly and solemnly, she muttered to herself.
Eh?
Once there, I leaned in and whispered in Renya's ear like I was letting him on a secret.
本当？
His mouth opened wide.
間違いない。
間違いない。
そうか。
What was he going to say next? My chest was swelling with anticipation and nerves. What if he told me he never wanted to see me again?
僕の僕の目が遺伝しなければいいんだけどな。
That, you know what, that's best. All he answered with, however, was his usual smile.
男の子でも女の子でも母親にならきっと可愛いと思うよ。
Tears came pouring out. I was so worried, so scared. I believed in Renya, of course. But even then, what if he ended up hating me because of this? I mean, listen, he's the one who chose to come in you. Never mind. I can't say that the thought didn't cross my mind at least once. Additionally, I was afraid of what might happen in the event that my grandmother found out. But when I saw Renya's beautiful smile, for some reason, all of that worry and anxiety became an afterthought. I couldn't stop crying. I was so happy. So unbelievably happy. In that moment, I felt closer to Renya than I'd ever felt before. I felt as though the two of us could overcome any hurdles that life threw our way, as long as we had each other. It made me feel that life was worth living. The effect his smile had on me almost made me believe it was a form of magic.
名前は何にしようか。
Ren! That, wow, it all makes sense now.
そんなの全然考えてなかった。
And if it was a guy, she would have called him Ya. Never mind.
ハク、もしかして泣いて。
ない。
でも
でもじゃない。泣いてない。
そう。
For a while, the two of us sat in silence and the rain stopped.
ねえハク、僕らが3人になったら
3人になったら
3人一緒にこの街を出ようか。バスに乗ってどこか遠い場所に行こう。
Why don't you do that before Ren is born? And we'll take my little sister too, if I can get her, he added with a beaming smile.
遠い場所？
人じゃないとか普通じゃないとかそういうのを気にしなくていいところを探しに行かない？
Thought it sounded like a splendid idea. With him and our child, I was ready to travel anywhere. Suddenly, I heard a rustling noise in the bushes behind us.
なんだろう。
However, my thoughts were quickly interrupted as the bus pulled up to the stop. The bus exclusively for our kind and that humans couldn't ride. I had a ceremony to conduct that afternoon in the next town over. This time, I wasn't going to fail. I had to make sure I got enough food to eat, both for my sake and for the sake of the child inside of me.
行ってくるね。話の続きはまた明日。
また明日。
Instead of promising the rest of our lives together, we started off by promising tomorrow.
レイヤ。浮気しちゃ嫌だからね。悲しいから。
まさか。
He smiled.
そんなことしないよ。絶対に。
信じてる。
Look, all I'm gonna say is either boxers have are pregnant for a really long time, or Haku had a big growth spurt. We promised to meet again in the same location tomorrow. I'm waiting for a butt. All I feel now was warmth. At some point, the ice covering my heart had thawed entirely. Upon saying goodbye, we shared a kiss, and that feeling of bliss lingered in my heart for long after we parted. Managed to perform the ceremony flawlessly for a change. Payment I received was even a bit more generous. The old raccoon who'd shouted at me last time even added with a smile that he'd been looking forward to having me come and help again next time.
今日はどうしたんだろう。
So many good things had happened that I even felt a teensy bit nervous. I could picture Renya's smile in my mind.
早く明日にならないかな。
Struggling to quell the joy that threatened to leap from my heart, I made my way home with a skip in my step. However, I immediately noticed that something was terribly wrong upon returning to town.
なんだろう。
The townspeople were all gathered at a distance staring at me. You filthy, rotten child. Their gazes filled with scorn. They eyed me in the way they would eye a piece of trash on the roadside. None of them dared approach me. Suddenly, one of them threw a stone which gashed my forehead. That was when it truly set in that this was much worse than I feared.
あんた、とんでもないことをしてくれたね。
I rushed home to find my grandmother in tears. Things were strewn about everywhere.
こんなことになるんなら、踏んじばってでも地下に一生閉じ込めておくんだった。登場なんてするんじゃなかった。
Stone came flying through the window. The broken glass from the shattered window pelted down on my grandmother. When I tried to help her up, she screamed at me not to touch her and pushed my hand away.
あんたなんか、どうしてこんな汚らわしいところばかり母親に似てしまうんだ。あんた、人の子ははらんだろう。
I gasped.
どうしてこんなことを。隣町に行くはずのあんたが人のことそんな話をしているのを確かに聞いたと町の子が触れ回ってるんだよ。
そんな。
I recalled the rustling grass behind me when I was talking to Renya about my secret.
ああ、本当にどうしていいところはまるで引き継がなかったのに、こんな汚らわしいところばかり母親に似てしまうんだ。
お母さんと似てる？
ああ、そうさ。あんたの母親は、私の子は規則を破って汚らわしくも人間の男と恋仲になった上に、あろうことか人の子をはらんだんだ。汚らわしい、汚らわしい、ああ、汚らわしい。それがどういうことかわかるかい？あんたは私らの仲間なんかじゃない。あんたは人と根血だ。
Oh, I see. For some reason, it didn't come as much of a surprise. In fact, to be perfectly honest, it was an enormous relief to me. It all made sense now. All of it. I never met my father. My grandmother hated me because I was filthy. I was lacking in so many areas that others of my kind had no trouble with.
すべては私が不完全だったと、そういうことね。
あの子の場合は町中に知れ渡る前に身内のものだけでなんとか秘密にできたけど、今回ばかりはもうダメだ。あんたの場合はどうあがいても手遅れだ。もう隠し立てのしようがない。
My mother was loved by everybody, so I have no doubt that the trust she earned was what allowed her to keep it a secret for so long. But I have none of that trust.
本当に親子揃ってとんでもないことを。どうしてくれる？私らまでもうこの町にいられないじゃないか。
Damn you, child. I always knew you were a harbinger of death, she continued to shout. He spat at me, insult after nasty insult.
あんたなんか。あんたなんか生まれてこなければよかったんだ。
I could feel my heart freezing over. I force my eyes open once again. The sweet aroma of the flowers wafts around me, but I resist. Well, I wish it were that cool of a story. But the truth is, Kana rolled over in her sleep, and her arm smacked me in the stomach, which was what jolted me awake. Either way, I'm now wide awake thanks to that. Yeah, I definitely can't let her punch me awake like that again. I decide that this time, I really will pluck the white dream grass, which forced me to dream. She clings onto my legs again with some sort of indistinct grunting noise. Once again, I fall on my face. Nah, I'm not. There's too many H's. I didn't have time to shield my fall again. But my nose. Oh god, my nose. She isn't awake, is she? You want to get off me? I shake free from her grip. Sheesh, I finally made it to the flowers. I pull up the grass, and with slight feelings of guilt, dig a hole in the ground to bury it. Oh, the smell can get out. Phew. I feel so much better now. I finish layering as much dirt as I can over top it. Then I decide to wake up our sleeping friends, or so I wanted to. Huh? I totter around. A heavy, intense drowsiness just hit me. Why? You got rid of the flowers. I fall powerlessly to my knees now.
レイヤレイヤ私
Bro. Time seems to slow as I fall down, and in the corner of my vision I see... You gotta be kidding me. I see white flowers growing deep within a grove of trees. What was the point of that sequence if he was just going to fall back asleep? When I awoke, I was being carried on someone's back.
起きたかい？
His voice was soothing. Judging by his scent, he was human.
ここは
僕らの町へ行くところだ。覚えてないのかな？
覚えてないって
We were walking on a straight path that connected one world to another. Remember, he'd said. So I tried to remember. Navigated through the haze of pain that filled my head in an attempt to recall what had transpired before this. My grandmother and I were captured by the townspeople. And then we were banished from the town where I was born and raised. I could still recall the twisted faces that they made as they slung those vile, vindictive words at me. My heart was cold. I no longer returned to that town for as long as I lived. I'd never again live in harmony with the people there, nor would I ever go visit Renya at the bus station again.
レイヤ
I'm cold. I'm so cold.
あんたなんか生まれてこなきゃよかったんだ。
My heart had frozen solid. I had nowhere to go. Once more, I was left alone in this world.
あの町は実におかしな町だ。
Suddenly, the human carrying me remarked,
同族の命を奪うことはためらうことなく良しとして、異族である人間に対してはそれを良しとしない。汚れが移ってしまうからという理由でね。仲間意識が希薄なのだろうか、それとも異族嫌悪が異常に高いのか。ともかくおかしな規則だ。
I don't know what happened to my grandmother after that, but I knew that whatever it was, it wouldn't have been something I could have borne to watch.
ごめんなさいごめんなさい全部私のせいだ本当にごめんなさい誰かに迷惑ばかりかけて本当に私はどうして生まれてきたんだろう
Take that filthy, dirty child and get out of our sight. Amidst the venomous words being spat at me, I made out that this peculiar human carrying me had heard the rumors and ventured through the dimensional gate specifically to find me. Even as much as the townspeople loathed me, now that they knew I held human blood, they couldn't kill me. That was what the rule stated.
僕はしぐれという。霧島しぐれ。君を僕らの町へ連れて行く。
Alright, I get it now. I forgot that the time is different, right? Okay, listen. Essentially, Shigure would be basically around the same age as Haku from childhood to adulthood because of how it works, right? 6 days is equivalent to 24 hours in 6 days in this world is equivalent to 24 hours in the Earth, if 12 hours is equivalent to 3 days, right? So yeah. There was a visible sorrow in the smile this human directed to me.
心配しなくてもいい。君のようなものは僕らの町にはたくさんいるからね。だから一緒に行こう。君はもうここにいちゃいけないんだよ。
Scram, you filthy human bastards. Townspeople began to mercilessly hurl stones at me, and the human who'd come to retrieve me. How dare you trick us, you vile wench. Never show your face here again.
大丈夫か?
The human frantically tried to protect me from the onslaught of stones. After that, he and I were chased out of this world, the world in which Renya lived. The dimensional gate closed behind us with a heavy thud. Never again would I be able to set foot in that world. I pushed my face into the man's back and allowed myself to shed a few tears.
どうした? どこか痛むかい?
寒い。
It was cold. It was so cold. This universe was cold, a cold, cruel place. There was nothing in here which smiled over, worth smiling over. I mean, 3 years here is essentially 18. 3 years in Earth is essentially 18 in this world. The human brought me to a place he called the Merchant Town. It was a small world that existed several worlds away from my own. There was one thing that I learned in the short 6 months since coming here. Townsfolk who lived here were all such kind and wonderful people. Even though I was a stranger, they treated me so well. Hello there, young lass. I was looking to put my rival's store up out of business. Would you care to help? There was a stout doll with white hair and a long white beard. He spoke like the humans and always came to ask me for help. Yeah, help for putting his rival businesses out of putting his rivals out of business. Oh, it must be one of those inanimate objects possessed by a spirit, I thought.
ライバル店って何?
These strange colloquial words the townsfolk used confused me, and I had a great deal of trouble grasping their meaning. With your help, lass, my business shall flourish. Their petty little shop is nothing but a circus. I'll show them who's the true business person.
優しく陽気なものばかりっていうさっきの意見はちょっと訂正。
That's probably a good idea. This doll person scared me a little. Ever since arriving to this town, my new home, I spent the majority of my time simply gazing up at the sky. My stomach had grown considerably by now. I could occasionally even feel the baby inside shifting. However, my heart still remained cold.
レンヤ、
Whenever I could close my eyes, his face would appear. would. Whenever I dreamed at night, it was always for the brief time he and I had spent together.
レイヤ、寂しいよ。レイヤ。
Hi there, Haku. Could you predict tomorrow's weather for me? One day, a spirit in an old man mask approached and spoke to me as I was watching the skies. The art of divination was something that did not exist in this town. I hadn't known where exactly he had learned that I knew divination, but the spirit would often come to me and ask for predictions of the next day's weather. Still looking up at the sky.
明日は晴れます。
I answered his question.
夜は少し曇るけど。
Oh, wonderful. I'm taking my grandson to pick herbs in the riverbed tomorrow, so it's a good thing we'll have nice weather. Even though I was still only an amateur, he was more than grateful for my help. You were right, Renya. Maybe it is possible. Becoming a weather reporter might be too big of a hurdle for me. I think my divination actually does have the power to make people happy.
あんまり働かないでくれよ。でないと、僕の仕事がなくなってしまう。
The human who brought me here often came to see how I was doing.
この町の困りごとを解決するのは僕の仕事だったんだからね。そこのところよろしく頼むよ。今では町のじいさんと碁を打つくらいが関の山だ。
そうですか。
He beamed warmly and broadly at me. Seeing that smile instantly caused Renya's image to flicker in my mind.
彼は今もいつまでも来ない私をあのバス停で待っているのだろうか。
Or
それとも私のことなんかもう忘れてしまって私の知らない誰かと一緒にいるのだろうか。
please, no. It was too sad to think about. Then came the tears. Before long, it came time for the baby to be born. It was a girl. A mixed blood girl with a human father and a non-human mother. I decided to name her Ren after her father.
レイヤが心配していた目は大丈夫だったよ。だから安心してね。
Compared to other children, her growth was a bit stunted. It also seemed that, even worse than me, she had no talent for divination whatsoever. Just like human children did, she wailed and wailed at night. She always needed her mommy around, and could never sleep alone at night. Even after she learned to walk, she couldn't go to the bathroom at night without me.
お寝坊さんだし好き嫌いは多いしお留守番も苦手。
Also, why does Haku still have the child voice even though she's a mum now? Look, I know she's maybe still a bit small, but like, I don't want to imagine the idea of Haku, child Haku giving birth to Ren.
そして何より泣き虫だ。正直こんなにも子供を育てることが大変だとは思わなかった。
But it was strange.
不思議だね。手がかかればかかるほどそれだけ私はあなたのことを愛しく思うよ。 かい。
After a long day, I held on to her as we slept together in the bed. The heat I felt from her face upon touching cheeks was so comforting.
レン、あなたは本当に暖かいね。まるで湯たんぽみたい。
No matter how bad of a day I had had, no matter how much my heart froze over as unpleasant memories from my past came back to me. Whenever I thought about sleeping together with my sweet little girl at night, I could feel my mood being lifted.
レンは不思議ね。ただこうしてここにいてくれるだけで、私の心を温かくしてくれる。
That was why I made a decision.
私はレンが私にくれるような温かさを私も誰かに渡せるようなそんな占い師になるよ。
There were no doubts. Others who had grown up in the absence of love being berated and told on a daily basis that they were not wanted. If I could tell their fortune, then perhaps I could thaw their heart and give them the strength to keep living. At some point, that became my dream. I used to vehemently hate divination. It was only something I did so I could secure a future for myself. But now, I was beginning to like it. If, through my divination, I could at least bring a tiny amount of joy to other people's lives, then that too would bring joy to me, joy to mine. From that day forward, I vowed to make a life for myself and my daughter in this town. Every night, I would get into bed with my dear Ren, feel her warmth and gain the strength to persevere for another day. Mom,
あなたが命に変えてでも私を産んでくれたこと、今なら少しわかるような気がします。
Ren, my sweet, sweet child, the light of my life. I'll never let go of you no matter what.
苦しいよお母さん。そんなにギュッてしないでよ。
Damn, I'd hate for future Haku to hear her say that she'd never let Ren go. Oh wait,
私はとっても幸せよ。
as I held onto her small warm body, I began to dream sweet dreams. I wasn't alone. As long as I have you with me, Ren, everything will be alright. The people of this town were too kind to us. Whenever Ren would add another year to her age, they would host a marvelous banquet.
ここの者たちは町に住む子の誕生日が来るたびにこうして町を挙げて酒盛りをするんだ。多分なんやかやと理由をつけては騒ぎたいだけなんだろうけどね。あときっと子供が大好きなんだろう。
I still had yet to completely forget of Renya. Every now and then, I would think of him again, and I'd react by closing my eyelids to try and forget, just like I was giving up on a bone that gotten stuck in my throat. Although, ever since coming to this town and giving birth to my sweet Ren, I could feel my heart filling with warmth once more. It was just like what had happened over the course of my brief time with him. I was so happy. So much so that it was even making me feel a bit nervous. Why were you even born? My grandmother's words echoed in my head. Now, however, I could stand tall and answer her question.
私はきっとレンとこうして出会うために生まれてきたんだ。そう信じていたい。
Okay, look. I may have forgotten that Ren's voice, that Haku's voice is just naturally high-pitched. Okay, look. It's because Haku's voice fit too well for her younger version that I forgot that her older version has the same voice, alright? Listen. We all make mistakes. And Renya's voice being Shigure's... Never mind.
お母さん見て見て、みんなからたくさんお菓子をもらったよ。お誕生日おめでとうって。よかったね。おいしそう。ちゃんとお礼は言った？でもいっぺんに全部食べちゃったらダメよ。少しずつ食べようね。うん、わかってる。お母さんにも何かあげるね。
Happy birthday, Ren. A group of townsfolk all cheered in unison behind us. Bright fireworks lit up the sky one after another, counting up to Ren's age.
きれい。
If only this journey could last forever. I hoped for that from the bottom of my heart. Eventually, as life continued to bless me in so many ways, one night, God appeared to me in my dream. When I woke up, I found a golden feather by my pillow side.
私は
Will I be able to repay the people of this town for all the kindness that they've bestowed upon me and my child? I was dreaming. But I've now awakened from that dream. It only took all of Haku's dream for you to wake up from it after you fucking got knocked out twice. Haku, who is already awake, sits and strokes Ren's head as she sleeps peacefully on her lap. Dream grass is still budding, with white flowers in every which direction.
見てください。レンは強い子でしょ。
Don't. Huh?
ちゃんと規則を守って寝言一つ漏らさない。この子は私と違って強い子だから。
Yeah, but you didn't follow the rules.
それが私の自慢です。
You may be a crybaby, but I know no one with a resolve as strong as hers. Haku looks at me with a smile that seems quite reminiscent of the boy's smile I saw in her dream.
だからきっと私がいなくてもこの子は一人で立派に生きて。
Haku, you know that wasn't the point of the dream. The point of the dream was to show that you've already broken the rules before, and what happened up there didn't end the world. No, it was to show you that maybe breaking the rules here isn't a bad idea. If what happened when you broke the rules the first time got you Ren. Haku. I know told Kana that we had no right to interfere in your world's culture and customs. Yeah, it only took you experiencing her fucking flashback for you to realize how much of a dipshit you were to say that to her. May I say one last thing? Might be a reiteration of what Kana said to you earlier. Is that okay?
はい。
Do you really want to go with God?
それは
Is your desire to uphold the town's rules so strong that you won't even try an alternative, or even consider one? Her face is written with uncertainty. Her brows furrow, and her lips purse. Her reaction catches me rather off guard. I was expecting a swift response. That rules were rules, and of course, there were no alternatives, except that we saw in her dream that rules were not in fact rules. If it wasn't apparent enough when she was impregnated by a human and was born of human blood. I simply asked to confirm that this is what she truly wanted. And it was also in part to dispel any reservations I might still be holding onto after having witnessed her dream. But she seems to be faltering. No shit. In which case, perhaps there's still a chance that I can persuade her. Bro, I don't care. I don't care if you can't persuade her. Do it for fucking Ren. Don't do it for Haku. Do it for her daughter. Haku, can I talk to you a bit before we keep going?
お話ですか?
Yes. Yes, all this time as Shigure and I had helped carry out the ritual. We've always abided by the rules without ever voicing any personal opinions or objections. As dumb as it is, it only took for someone we are emotionally connected with for us to question why we're doing this, and if we should. So if you truly want to go meet God and sacrifice your life to him, then I will help you to the best of my ability. I've already resigned myself to that role. Of course you have. And the reason I'm standing next to you now is because Shigure entrusted me with that role. So that's why I feel that I must carry this ritual out from start to finish without error.
はい。ユーマさんのおっしゃることはよくわかります。
However, if you want to be freed from this fate, then that changes things. It would flip the situation on its head, as would it my decision, much to Shigure's disappointment, most likely. No. Not most likely. I think Shigure would be more disappointed if you let Haku sacrifice herself. She cocks her head to the side in confusion. I think it might be a wise idea, at the very least, consider what we can do to set you free, like Kana mentioned earlier.
私が自由に?
I nod. You know, like how you were set free when you were a child. You know, relate back to the fucking flashback. You know, like a good story would. If you don't do this, you believe your world will be destroyed. Merchant Town as we know it will disappear, many people losing their lives in that process. I understand full well why you have those fears. Which is why I can easily understand why she came to such an instantaneous decision. She was weighing the value of her life against the lives of hundreds, thousands. Yeah, but clearly she didn't have that same hesitation when it came to talking to Arenya. Self-sacrifice, her love for her daughter, her love for her town. It was probably a combination of those that led her to choosing this fate. But even then, please listen. I have a very trustworthy acquaintance. I call her Suzu. Her name is Natsume Suzu, though really she's less of an acquaintance and more of more so my master. But if I can get her to help us, then maybe, just maybe, she can pull off something. She's the kind of crazy, unpredictable oddball who'd dare to attempt a miracle.
ユーマさんのお師匠さんですか？
I proceed to ask Haku if she remembers when she came to the dorm to have curry with us. She's such a lazy bones that I had to constantly nag her to do something and get her act together. But when it comes to the art of liberation, she's unparalleled, even though she's never liberated anyone. And revered as a legend in our field, the people who live in our town even call her a witch because of how much of an enigma she is. She would help us with everything she's got. I have no doubt that there will be a real chance, no matter how small, that we can set you free.
そうですか。
Her lips curved to form a thin, wary smile.
それでもわずかな可能性なんですね。そのユーマさんのお師匠さんにお願いしたとしても。
Yeah, but there would still be a chance. I want to believe. Suzu and I have never had a successful job in the parallel world, not even once. That is why our success rate currently sits at a depressing 0%. But this time, I begin to muse if we could manage to take Haku back to the dorm where Suzu currently resides. Up until now, we've never once managed to get a client back to the dorm, the non-interference zone. That being because every time, without fail, we've been chased down by the wind which carries the white feathers. In this instance, however, the wind isn't chasing Haku. She's decided to come of her own free will. If she had a sudden change of heart, we could immediately start running. That for sure would catch the god who desires her life off guard. Taking advantage of the element of surprise, we could safely get Haku to the dorm where Suzu is. If we could just get to that point, then Suzu could save Haku. I can't imagine how, but she might very well have a way. Haku would set the precedent, our first success. It all seems so simple in my head, but I'm probably only being naive. If outrunning the wind were possible, we wouldn't currently be sitting on a success rate of 0%. Still, I don't want to give up. I want to believe. I want to save Haku. It only took a flashback. It only took her dream to make you realize that you wanted to save her. Won't you come with us, Haku? The dorm we live in is somewhat special. I don't know why exactly, but it is. It was built in a location outside of the Great Library of the Beyond's Reach. It's a non-interference zone of sorts. I don't know why, nor am I interested in the underlying theory and science behind it. Right now, all that matters is that that's how it is. So why don't you run away with us there? Once there, we can all put our brains together and devise a plan to save your world.
おかしいですね、ユーマさんは。
You can say that again. Odd. Me?
はい、そうですよ。
He breaks into a smile.
カナさんに 私をどこかへ逃がしてくださいとお願いされても、さっきまではそれを渋ってらしたのに。それなのに今は率先して私を自由にしてくれようとしています。本当になんだかおかしいですね。
No, it's not. It's not funny. It's infuriating. It could have been Kana to it could have been Kana that convinced Yuma, and that would have given her fucking. I don't know. It would have been better for Kana to convince Yuma instead of a fucking dream, a flashback. But still, yeah, I agree. Really doesn't make much sense, does it? She and I share a smile, though of course she likely can't see mine. Really am sorry. I really am saying some funny things. Every one of my actions is laced with contradictions. But I saw what happened in that dream. Everyone in my shoes who'd witnessed something like that would want to save her and allow her the opportunity to continue living in happiness. I truly and honestly believe that. Except that you shouldn't have needed the dream. The dream didn't serve any purpose that Kana could not have. That you could not have. This is the most annoying part. We didn't need the dream. The only reason the dream exists is to add more is to give more backstory to fucking Haku. Ah, I see now. It's all coming together. Mustn't fall asleep on the journey there, no matter how drowsy I feel, because I'll dream, and seeing that person's dream will make parting with them all the more difficult. This is what you meant, isn't it, Shigure? I can understand why you warned me of this ahead of time. Yeah. The fact that it was... God. Clearly Yuma didn't care enough about Haku before the dream. Clearly Yuma didn't care enough about Ren before the dream. Still, though. Even still, the person being sacrificed is Haku. Someone I know. Whether I'd seen her dream or not, saying goodbye was still going to be a painful experience either way. What do you say? Will you accept my proposition?
でも私が私の義務を放棄してしまったら。
Bitch, I do not give a shit. I know. You're worried about the people of your town, and rightfully so. But if it's that big of a concern, we just have them all migrate to the dorm. They could simply live in our world until Suzu and I discover a way to save your world from destruction. Come on, Haku. Please give it a shot.
いい
She shakes her head.
え、やっぱりただただ私は不安なんだと思います。
At least use the fucking dream to convince her, you dipshit.
そんなことが本当にうまくいくでしょうか。何事も食い違うことなく、間違われることなく、無事に物事を終わらせることができるのでしょうか。
And this is when you bring up that in the past, Haku talked to Renya, even though she thought that the world was going to end if she interacted with a human. Okay, can you do that, Yuma? We won't know unless we try. The only thing we can be certain of is the outcome if we do nothing. I begin to gather up my belongings. This would be the final time I ask you, but I want you to answer truthfully. What do you want to do, Haku? Do you want to seek freedom alongside your daughter? Or do you want to keep traveling and guarantee your town's safety? Whichever choice you make, I'll give you my full support. Closes her sightless eyes, then purses her lips pensively. Haku, please, if you so can, please choose a future together with your daughter. I beg in my mind.
ユーマさん、
Yes?
本当ですか？ユーマさん。私にはまだレンと一緒に、二人一緒にこの先の時間を生きていける、そんな可能性が残っているんですか？
I nod. I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to grant those two their freedom. Place your trust in me, my master, and I believe our chances will rise ever so slightly.
もう少しだけ。
Right? Ever so slightly.
なるほど、そうですか。正直ですね、ユーマさんは。
She sinks into silence for a brief moment. Right then, a sudden gust of wind forces its way through the grove of trees.
ユーマさん、私、
I think you got your answer. Yes?
嫌だったんです。
You hate it?
私は母と死に別れました。私を産んだせいで母は命を落としてしまったんです。
Yes, I saw that in the dream.
だから私はずっと一人でした。それがとても寂しいと思い、母を恨んだこともありました。こんな悲しい思いをするのは全部私を一人にした母のせいなのだと。
I don't need you to reiterate what I saw in the dream.
だからもしもこうして私がレンを町のためだと言って置いていってしまったら、私が母を恨んだようにレンも私を恨んで生きていくのかと思うと、そんなのは嫌だった。私と同じようにレンを一人っきりにさせてしまうなんて。
The last thing I want is for her to hate me for what I've done, Haku continues.
でも町の者たちを裏切るようなことはどうしてもできなくて、あの方たちの優しさに報いたいという思いは本物で、そして今とても不思議な夢を見ました。少し昔の夢です。大好きだった人と話をしてレンが生まれてくるまでの夢でした。ユーマさん、私には夢があるんです。この子を父親に、レイヤに一度でいいから会わせてあげたい。レイヤにもレンを抱かせてあげたい。そんな思いもまだ果たせていないのに、そんな未練を残して行ってしまうというのは。
She runs her fingers through Ren's hair, who's still asleep with her head on her lap. I'm sorry, Haku. I also saw that dream myself. You and I shared it. So I know what you went through in life, albeit a somewhat rough idea of it. But that's exactly why. That's exactly why I'm asking you to run away with us. This is why I'm so desperate for you to take our offer and help you. Then why didn't you point it out in the first place so that there wouldn't be any fucking bullshit of her potentially saying no? You already know that the dream is the reason she's saying yes. God fucking damn it. You're dragging this shit out too long. What's your decision, Haku? If we're turning back, we'll want to start sooner rather than later. There's a chance that whatever this entity is that's after your life is eavesdropping on our conversation right now, and so it knows that we're considering trying to escape. If that's the case, then the wind could come rushing in any moment now. Wind from beyond, which whisks away people's very lives. The wind which carries the widest of feathers along with it, but leaves nothing but emptiness and solitude in its wake.
ユーマさん、教えてください。ユーマさん。もしもユーマさんに私を、そしてあの町の者たちを逃がしてくださいと依頼したら、私はまたこの子の父親と会えますか？あの日、待ち合わせ場所に行けなくてごめんなさいと謝ることができますか？
It might take some time, but I promise I will locate Ren's father for you.
わかりました。
He nods.
ユーマさん、お仕事を依頼させてください。
Okay.
お願いします、逃がし屋さん。私たちをどこか遠くへ逃がしてください。
I'll do just that. Those are the words I've been waiting to hear. Now it's time for Suzu and I to take over and do our bit.
こんなところにまでやってきて、今さらこんなお願い。人騒がせで本当に申し訳ありません。
Look, at least you have an excuse, alright? You were scared out of your fucking mind. That's why you were doing this. Yuma, on the other hand, did not. Especially when Kana was screaming in his ear about how stupid all this is. Don't worry about it. Let's just focus on getting everybody back safely for now. We'll have to pass through those worlds of spring, summer, fall, and winter once more. But the journey back should feel significantly less trying than the way here. Come on, let's wake those two up. Kana's lying down next to me, emitting soft rhythmic breaths. I shake her shoulder. Kana, get up. She sits up and rubs her eyes.
もう出発ですか？
Yeah, we're getting out of here. Yeah, we're going back to the dorm, so we gotta get a move on. Her eyes flicker in disbelief.
急いで戻るですか？儀式の方はどうするんですか？
Nope, we've decided to stand up against God's tyranny. Yeah, like it isn't your job in every other world that you're hired to. Kana blinks at me once more. So we're going to take Haku and get the heck out of here.
でもそれは。
No worries. She's already agreed. I'm not forcing her to turn back against her wishes. Even if she did, I would have forced her to come back. So yeah, I get your stuff saying we'll depart as soon as we're ready. Get your stuff together, we'll depart as soon as you're ready.
はい。
As we're quickly packing our things, I look to Haku. Haku, please wake Ren. There's a chance we'll need to make a run for it. I'll carry her on my back, so she won't have to worry about keeping up.
はい。
Okay, well, I was hoping that... I was thinking that Kana would carry Ren, so that you can carry Haku. Well, hold her hand, I guess. But what if she trips? That's why I suggest carrying her, since she's fucking blind, I guess. He then shakes Ren's shoulder.
起きて、レン。私たちの町へ戻りましょう。
And do one final check to make sure we have everything. Things we don't need with us will be left here. I don't mean to litter, but we can always come back to clean up at a later point. A lighter load means we can move more nimbly and make it back to the dorm sooner.
ユマさん、どうしてハクさんは儀式を中断するのを聞き入れてくれたんですか？
I don't know, you could have been the one to convince her, but apparently we had to go through a whole fucking dream sequence for it. Kinda looks at me in wonderment, almost as though she legitimately can't believe that I didn't cast some sort of spell on her. I'll explain on the way back. Also, sorry Kana, but can you carry my rucksack for me?
それはもちろん大丈夫ですけど。
So like, who's gonna help, who's gonna help, Haku. Who's gonna help Haku? Listen, I was trying to stall, I forgot her name. Thanks, now let's get out of here. Everything is ready. We have everything we need. Pick up the lantern. The lantern which contains the golden feather. When I do though, something bursts open in front of my eyes. Blindingly bright light sears into my retinas. The feeling akin to being sucker punched in the head. I squeeze my eyelids shut. Flash of light even seems to leave a ringing in my ears. What the hell was that? After a brief moment, my hearing and vision recover. I carefully open my eyes to assess the situation. Are those feathers? There are feathers. White feathers slowly descending down from the sky, swaying to and fro. They've mixed within the cherry blossom petals. My vision is a blur of white and pink. Then I look over. What is going on? I've pieced together that the bright light I saw came from the lantern in my hand. The golden feather that was meant to be inside had broken through the confines of that glass encasing, along with the light it held. Ren had opened her eyes now, after being woken by her mother, and that golden feather just so happened to be slowly circling around her head. Ren then plucks it out of the air, clasps it to her chest, and stands up flutteringly. Thereupon she surveys her surroundings. Eventually her eyes lock onto me. Unable to speak words, but the pleading look on her face tells me all I need to know. Where's my mum? Haku is gone. Vanished without a trace. The location she was sitting mere seconds ago is empty space. Almost as if she had disappeared along with that flash of light. Even as we stand there in confusion, feathers continue to fall. And then, fully bloomed cherry blossom trees begin to wither. The petals wilt and turn a grey colour in the blink of an eye, proving the life with which was just taken before their eyes.
ユマさん、
Anna squints as though her vision is still in the process of recovering.
もしかしてここが神様との約束の場所だったんでしょうか？
It's okay. You can speak now, Ren. However, she frantically shakes her head left and right. Or running around to search for her lost mother. Ren, Her actions speak louder than any words could. Never got to say goodbye. I can't bear to watch this. I'm sorry, Ren. I put her to sleep to spare her from the immediate pain, then hoist her up onto my back. I'm sorry I couldn't save your mother. She's truly gone. She's disappeared from our midst, leaving nothing behind, not even a word of farewell. What the hell? It was all over in an instant. How am I supposed to accept that outcome? This outcome? We're on the onset of saving her, setting her free. Yet now, all that resides in our hearts is a feeling of emptiness. Couldn't even say goodbye.
どうしてこんなのって。
This is far too cruel. Kana balls her hands into fists as she swallows her words. Gaze up at the night sky. The otherworldly moon bathes the surroundings in an eerie, deep blood-red color. It seems as though I'm looking at an actor waiting behind the scenes, nervously watching until the finale, when he can finally relax knowing that the show has concluded without a hitch. Anna stands next to me, desperately trying to hold in her tears.
おかしいですよこんなの。
I know, Kana. This is the worst outcome possible. When she had finally resolved herself to give it a chance and escape, it was almost as though someone was silently watching, waiting for that faint glimmer of hope to appear, only to snatch it right away with the feathers in the wind and sneer in our faces. We closed our eyes and opened them. That was all the time it took. Why? What did we do to deserve this? It's just sadistic. Are you satisfied now, you stupid vengeful god? Are you watching us delighting in this torment? Are you eyeing us gleefully, laughing that we ever thought we had any sort of chance against you in a game rigged in your favor? Does it claim that you love all of us who inhabit these worlds? Why do you treat us so cruelly, time and time again? Are you confused? Is it intentional wrath or a system bug of some sort? Is proof that you aren't an imperfect being? Or is it just that you aren't the paragon of benevolence that we wish you to be? Of course, there's no error, no bug. It's intentional. At your core, you're a foul demon who enjoys torturing us mere mortals. So what? If that's the truth of the matter, then that makes it easier for me. Because it means I can despise you from the bottom of my heart without any shred of reluctance whatsoever. Whether you're an entity that dwells in the great library of the beyond, or the consciousness of the library itself, that's of no concern to me. I have no way of knowing those things. Whoever you are, whatever you are, that's decided to play God. I don't know, but just you wait. Because I'm coming for you, and I'll punch your brains out. All I can do right now is glare at the feathers tumbling from the sky and vow to enact my revenge. And when I do, I'm taking back everything you stole from me. Please save us from this place. I can almost feel those voices from my dreams, from a dream, calling to me now.